Nice. You were supposed to. That's great.
I saw the way you sleep on the mornings. It was supposed to be. The boss. Yeah, I saw where.
I want to see Rudy's face for the day. Can you hear me, Rudy?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, okay, that's what it, okay, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, okay. I wondered about that.
Did Greg call or?
No,
Please? No. Okay. No.
No, there was a couple of it, like.
Rudy, talk again for me, will you?
Maybe.
Test.
Pass.
All right.
Robot.
Listen.
Robot.
There we go. You ready? You're ready. Okay. It is 6:30. I'd like to call this meeting of the Morrison City Council to order. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Bruckner,
Here.
Cruz, Mahaffey,
Here.
Schlegel,
Here.
Travell,
Here.
Dickler,
Here.
West,
Here.
Zeidema.
Here.
Stand and recite the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I did not see anybody signed up for public comment. We do not have any presentations. Okay, city officers, chief, you're on online. Do you have a report?
Just a few things, Mayor. Officer Flack is in Freeport for a week for investigative training. And we did receive our new tasers. So I'm going to work on that we received from the grant. And I'll be working on that reimbursement next few days. That's about it.
Thank you. Nathan.
Yes, youth wrestling is over, youth basketball is finished, and tomorrow night starts youth volleyball. We got 42 signed up so far. And then also, I didn't tell you this before, but the University of Illinois Extension, I talked to them about a month ago. And they have a course that they're gonna do here in this room in June for the kids. CSI forensics. So it's gonna be like a forensics class for the kids from like, I think age 8 to 13, and then they're gonna have drones and maybe bring a canine and stuff. So that's gonna be every Wednesday in June.
Oh, that's cool.
Thank you.
I kind of want to do it.
It's for kids.
Is there a senior group? I meant for me. I'm sensitive.
Treasurer, we have your report. Do you have anything else? All right. I would like to note that our city attorney is here. We will get to a conversation or a discussion item later regarding the grocery sales tax. We have 4 items on the consent agenda: minutes, bills payable, treasurer's report. And Mr. Buckwalter has agreed to serve on planning and zoning. Just for clarification, that would be class of 2027 to fill the Nick Alvarado vacancy. So that's until April 30th of 2027. Does anybody wish to remove any item from the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve all 4 items on the consent agenda?
Second.
Is there any discussion now that it's on the floor? There is money involved, so we need a roll call. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Bruckner,
Yes.
Mahaffey,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Travell,
Yes.
Dickler,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Zeidema.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, action items. I would like to move the grocery tax from consideration for action to items for discussion, wherewith we can have a more open discussion about the different aspects of how to approach that. Item 3 on the action plan Change orders on the Public Works Building renovation project, starting on, your page 14. Administrator Melton, do you have any, elaboration on that?
Mr. Mayor, this is just to formalize this discussion from the last meeting. Nothing has changed. They started the work. And again, just to formalize those change orders.
Is there a motion to approve those orders? It's been moved and seconded. It's on the floor for discussion. Are there any questions or comments on these orders? If not, if there is money involved, we need a roll call. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Bruckner,
Yes.
Mahaffey,
Yes.
Flagel,
Yes.
Travell, Tickler,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Sidema,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Item 4, sanitary line extension, Knox Street. To bump out the sewer line to coincide with or to mesh with the hospital expansion project. City's cost share of 50% at 18,500 and change. Your pages 20 to 27. Is there a motion to approve? It's been moved and seconded. It's on the floor for discussion and questions and comments.
Mayor, is this basically to throw a bone to the hospital who made a mistake?
I'll let the city administrator comment.
I would say no, because if this would have basically been handled differently on the hospital side, they would have been asking for this upfront. Possibly considering the full cost of it rather than half the cost. I then had a meeting with Pam. And the hospital agreed to pay for half of the project.
And it would have been our obligation to make them down there.
Well, I think obligation, I'll say yes, only because we as a city want this kind of expansion and projects in town. Should they have did a little more homework on where that sewer line ended, perhaps. Either way, we would have extended that.
They needed to drop it there.
Yeah.
I think
Thank you all.
Split the whole bill because we had sewer line to their place. They wanted to move it. They should have put the whole bill. That's my opinion.
It's a tough one.
If they didn't have sewer there, that'd been a different thing.
Where their intentions were to move it, this wasn't a surprise to them. They just thought our sewer line extended further than it did. So they were moving it either way because otherwise it would be underneath their new foundation. And I'm not disagreeing with you at all. Alderman Zedman, I'm just telling you what happened.
I know what that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask a question. The properties between the highway and Knox Street, there are 3 residential properties there. Where
Yeah.
would if somebody built a house there, where would their sewer go? To
Right
Knox
there.
Street or to the highway?
Well, I guess that depends on the contractor and where they want to put it,
Okay.
because there's service on both sides.
Okay,
There was 4 houses there before, so it had to go to the houses. Somehow.
Yeah, either
To the
the
highway.
line along Lincoln Way or.
so it
on
probably
Knox
went
Street.
to, it had to go to Lincoln Way if it didn't exist on Knox Street, right? Okay,
Will what they're proposing benefit any of the residences that are there on Knox Street currently? Because there's like, a 4-unit apartment building right there. So I mean, if we're gonna
Well, the sewer,
do
well,
this, are
yes,
we
it's
gonna
additional
look at?
infrastructure for the city. It's another 106 foot of infrastructure for the city along East Knox Street. So yes, if they want to connect on the Knox Street side, but the hospital owns most of that property.
No, I'm saying like, this map makes it look like where it's going to be replaced is gonna come down Knox Street, just how I'm looking at it. Right to where there's residents on both sides of the street, one of them being a 4 or more unit apartment building. So are we replacing, is that section being replaced and is it gonna benefit our residents?
Yeah.
It's going east.
No, the
down.
short answer is no.
I think you're thinking, it's going,
Yeah, that apartment is more.
it's more to the west.
Yeah.
It's going where it was
There
farther
you go.
east now, towards Jackson.
And according to our infrastructure plan, you know, we have all these loops that we've been working on over the years. When was this one scheduled to be?
This is a sewer line that they water.
Oh.
Different from a water loop, yeah. So, yeah, short answer is the only person that immediately benefits from this is the hospital. But it gets a 21st century sewer line to the east, right, to Jackson Street, or almost to Jackson Street.
Nobody's gonna build there.
To me, this is more about if we want to help the hospital than it is really future development on the corner of Lincoln Way and Jackson.
Mhm. Which I think the hospital owns that property now.
Yes, they do.
Yeah, they purchase those lots.
I mean, I don't,
Our heard is 8,000,
18,
18.
Yeah, the project's 37,000
ish, yeah.
ish.
And you said it comes out of the sewer fund, is that where?
That would be the appropriate place. If it makes anybody feel better, they paid like 14,000 and some in building permit, so. There you have that.
Well, but the sewer fund is paid for by all
That's
the
different,
residents of the
yes.
city,
That's
so
a fair,
it's separate and
observation.
distinct.
fair observation.
I need to, since we're on discussion, I just want to throw it out there, I'm on the fence because wholeheartedly, with my heart and soul, I want to do anything we can to encourage growth with the hospital in our community. But this is so heavily slanted, one-sided that that's a good amount of money for one entity. So if we do that, what entity comes next and says we need $20,000 for this or? So I'm on the fence. It's hard. It's a hard call. Anyone can swing me.
You gotta look, I guess you gotta look at the bigger picture. This is a huge asset for our community, the hospital is, and the fact that they're doing an extension. Is only good news, so. The visitors that, or the customers or the patients that come to that facility. This community can benefit in other ways, so, like I said. If the engineers would have done their homework ahead of time, I believe that, we might be having a little different conversation. And perhaps supporting the extension all the way to the dead end, so, I don't know.
I want to bring up something about this whole thing too. They have the money to pay for this. They're building this whole project, $16 million out of profits they've made in the last 2 years. The last thing they did, they borrowed 20-some million. We are paying that off, but since that time, they've made enough money to pay for this project, $16 million. $1,800 is peanuts to
18,000.
let them pay.
Our sewer, yeah,
18,000.
our sewer fund can afford it too, so, I mean, that's,
Okay, when you're taking it from. That guy, that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy, this guy, that guy, and all you.
At a septic tank.
yeah, again, bigger picture.
well, I'm guessing the hospital is probably the second biggest employer in town after the schools too.
I think they exceed schools, right? I think.
Courthouse, biggest, I think.
Courthouse is, right?
It might, I don't know, hospital, it does employ a lot of people now.
It does.
I'm more surprised that that sewer line doesn't go all the way to Jackson.
Yeah, me too.
I'm surprised that it stops mid freaking street.
And there is no advantage.
Didn't have
bringing it
to.
to Jackson.
Didn't have to.
I
No,
know,
I needed to go to the hospital. Hospital owns the rest of the
yeah,
ground.
I've been doing houses there, so years ago, I don't know why they just didn't convene
Yeah,
that.
there was a house on the corner,
Yeah.
Jackson Street, there was houses all along there.
Jackson.
There never was a house on the corner on the hospital side. There was on the other side, but that must have got just like the other four houses.
On the
Yeah.
northwest corner of Jackson and Knox Street, there definitely was a house. And I don't know, did that go, is there a sewer line under Jackson?
Yeah, that blue line coming down. The
Okay.
blue is sewer.
Okay. What's the yellow? Is that water?
That is,
Or
yes, the
orange.
water.
Okay.
That is a 10-inch water main.
There's no advantage of connecting the sewer line to Jackson. Like,
No. I mean, anything's possible, but
I mean, if it doesn't help us,
All right, there is a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Is there any further discussion, any further questions? All right, clerk, would you please call the roll?
Bruckner,
Yes.
Mahaffey,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Travell,
No.
Tickler,
Yes.
West,
yes.
Zeidema,
No.
motion carried.
Thank you. Item 5, County Sheriff for Public Safety Shared Systems and Services. This is an MOU which has been exposed regarding technology that lines up our safety and security systems, our police department with the county sheriff's department. And I think we discussed this one meeting ago, maybe 2 meetings ago as well. So motion to approve that memorandum of understanding.
So moved.
Second.
It's on the floor for further discussion or questions. Are there any questions about the term of this memorandum of understanding? And if you do, Chief is online. If you have technical questions, he would be able to respond as well. Hearing none. Is there money involved in this MOU?
not this.
Okay, there's no money involved. We can do a voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Because the city's entering into a contractual agreement with the county by the MOU, I would recommend a roll call.
Okay,
Oh, there's money involved.
Yeah,
is
there's
there?
money
it has been,
for annual subscription.
well, we get to the annual subscription in the next item, but hearing the attorney recommendation, and it sounds reasonable to me, it's a contractual agreement. Let's have a voice vote. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Bruckner,
Yes.
Mahaffey,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Travell,
Yes.
Tickler,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Zeidema,
Yes.
motion carries.
Related to that is the agreement of the safety suite. And the entire contract along with the various responsibilities. Are your pages 39 to 88. The bottom line to the city is an annual payment to the county in the amount of $5,134.60. And you can see every term, who's responsible for servers, who's responsible for maintenance. And basically the city pays 5,000 plus every year. At least for the first 3 years, is that the, for the 5, okay. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Again, this technology and the agreement has been exposed in prior council meetings. Is there any, it's on the floor for further discussion? If not, this is money and a contractual agreement. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Bruckner,
Yes.
Mahaffey,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Travell,
Yes.
Tickler,
Yes.
West.
Yes.
Zeidema,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. All right, the grocery sales tax. Move that down to discussion, because we were prepared to act on a model legislation proposed by the Illinois Municipal League. City Attorney Tim Zollinger has graciously agreed to show up tonight and discuss an alternative, which might be a little bit simpler, but also describe a little bit more clearly what a grocery is. But to be clear, the 1% state sales tax on groceries goes away at the end of this year. We are allowed by legislation to implement a sales tax on groceries without referendum, effective January 1, 2026, if we so do wish. It is very difficult to quantify what happens, how much money we get from that 1% from the state, but we are allowed to do a 1% or 0.25, 0.50, 0.75% sales tax on groceries as a city. It has been proposed that we consider that for effective 1/1/26. I think I'll ask, if you don't mind, Tim, to just talk about the differences between what you saw in the IML proposed model legislation versus what you've seen in neighboring towns and what you have proposed as far as defining what a grocery is and what those differences might be and how it might be beneficial to the city.
Certainly, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to come and visit with everyone. Always nice to see all of you. So I appreciate that. The two different ordinances, the one you've been considering and the one you have now, they end in the same result. It's simply stepping into the 1% the state currently collects beginning January 1 of 26. It does not expand the definition of what a grocery is, what's qualified, what's exempt. The same definition that exists now, and honestly, Mayor, I don't know that I can give you a definitive definition of that. It's quite broad, and there are a number of things that are exempt. But the key being that nothing changes. What people are paying now for the 1% would remain the same. The difference being instead of a state 1%, it's a municipal 1%. In terms of the approach I took with the ordinance you have now, I did two things. One, as you can see, it's very clearly labeled a grocery tax, ancillary to sale of groceries and services associated with that. Again, not changing what you're currently being taxed, simply stepping in on behalf of the city. The other piece that I did was codify this into your city code to make it clear that if anyone comes in, or if they're looking to locate a business, or they want to understand what the rule is, they don't have to go to the state law. They can look at your city ordinance. It's in there and clear the businesses that will be impacted, what's happening. At least tries to clear. I'll say it that. But at the end of the day, it does the same thing you've been discussing. It simply allows the city to step into that 1% beginning January 1st of 26.
So I see on your page 3, it goes right to chapter 52, which is our codes, right?
Here, chapter 52 in the city code,
Yes.
the taxation section.
Okay.
And so it creates a new article 9, which would be grocery tax. Now, one question I get a lot, if you look at section, and what I put in there, 52-142 and 52-143. You have to do both of those. They are currently in state law. If you impose a grocery retailer's occupation tax, again, sales tax, you also have to impose the grocery service occupation tax. The key being, it is not expanding what currently exists. This is just allowing the city to step in and impose that versus the state. It's not expanding the businesses that will be subject to. It's just creating a new municipal grocery tax.
And has this been implemented yet, or I mean, adopted? It hasn't, can't be implemented until next year, but
I
adopted
am
by,
aware of at least 3 communities in the county that have gone ahead and adopted this.
okay,
Some communities take the approach as I have to codify it, put it into the code. Some have taken the IML approach and just throw it on paper and say we collect it, but the state sort it out. I'm not saying either is wrong. And there are other communities that are still pondering the question.
okay,
Some communities are impacted much greater than others. The large communities or any that have an actual grocery store, is significantly impacted by the loss of that 1%. I don't know what calculations the city administrator did, but I wouldn't be shocked if it were, 40, 50, $100,000 a year, in some years. So,
right. We got around,
Other smaller communities have not adopted this yet that I'm aware of, but they're also not as impacted because they're more of a convenience store
Convenience.
cases of a Dollar General and places like that.
council, any questions, discussions? City will bring an action item either in the next meeting or the following meeting. But I do want to expose this and make sure you get a chance to think about it. And so the proposal is to get cleanly right into our code as opposed to the spaghetti thrown on.
Again, Mayor, neither is
Yeah.
necessarily wrong.
Right.
I got a question. Is
Please.
there anything in this proposal that affects convenience stores, or aren't they affected this way?
The answer to that is yes. It's the same way they're affected now, they
Okay,
will be affected then. It's the
Okay.
same 1%. Is this being imposed by the city versus the state? So if your convenience stores locally are affected now, they will be affected later.
yeah.
So we're ready to vote on that. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I just think I don't want to push this too hard. We can do it next week, next meeting or the following. We still be way in advance of getting it for the state.
Yeah, the mayor, with the target timing, the only thing I would point out is if you don't pass it and get it to the Department of Revenue by, I believe it's July 1st, then you cannot start to impose it until July 1st of next year.
Okay,
They only do that twice a year, so that's why you have to get it in. If you're gonna do it January 1st, you've got to have it down there
By July
aware of
1st.
it before July 1st.
okay,
But the ultimate deadline is October 1st for.
Correct. If you don't
For the
adopt it by then you
Got that
can't
1 year
adopt
window.
it. If you wait until the September, you would miss 6 months of collection.
all right.
As I understand it appropriately.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate the exposition. Council has 2 weeks to consider this. I think we will bring it for action at the next council meeting, if not the one following. I didn't want to push it because the last part came out so quickly in advance of this meeting. At this point, it would be appropriate for a motion to close the public meeting and move into executive session.
Second.
All right, at 7:05 PM, I declare City Council Morrison is back in public session. With one action item, you have a real estate contract in front of you. Purchase property. Effective date of August 1, 2025. The specs of the property are the 8.7 acres. Just north of Homestead. We'll leave it at that, at the price of $217,500. Is there a motion to approve this real estate, the city entering into this real estate contract?
So move.
Second.
All right. Contract is on the table for further discussion. Any questions? You have the attorney here,
I love the answer question.
city administrator here.
Mayor, do you think it's, I mean, I don't know, do you think it's smart to state now that we're in public that this is money that's gonna be covered by a grant or from MABC, just for the public record?
Sure.
Anyway,
I can,
I
just did it.
thank you, Alderman West. I believe one very important contingency of this real estate contract is that we get a grant.
Yep.
And the grant award, it will be announced in April. And the terms of the grant are what, 50% of the purchase price?
I muted her.
Oh, I've been trying to explain to her on the.
Okay, and yeah, so that is an important contingency of this contract.
Do you want me to?
Yep.
Tee it up completely?
Please.
The recording. So this purchase agreement, just for public information. Late last year, October, the city of Morrison, as you all know, applied for a grant through the Illinois Department of Transportation through their traffic improvement program for a multi-use recreational path to extend from North Jackson Street out to the sports complex. Part of that agreement, or part of that grant application included obtaining or acquiring approximately 18.7 acres of property. And through our negotiation with the property owner and with contingencies to get the grant award, this purchase agreement is before you to be considered at a cost of $217,500 with 10% escrow, ultimately to be funded by the Morrison Area Development Corporation and the grant itself. So, as I said earlier, this is a huge step forward towards this multi-use recreational path out to the sports complex. So there you have it.
Further questions or discussion? If not, clerk, would you call the roll?
Bruckner,
Yes.
Cruz, I'm sorry, Mahaffey,
Yes.
Schlegel,
Yes.
Travell,
No.
Tickler,
Yes.
West,
Yes.
Zeidema,
Yeah.
motion carries.
This point, a motion to adjourn is in order.
So move.
Any, is there a second?
Second.
Any opposed to adjourning? If not, then at 7:09, I declare this meeting is adjourned. Don't say.
Are we muted?